or 30. But let's get into what was a record-breaking weekend up in Dallas at the Women's Final Four. LSU, Kim Mulkey, her fourth national title. The numbers were huge. I haven't seen the ratings, but obviously they've been big. And it got more attention this weekend than perhaps any other Final Four in the history of women's basketball. And then there was like catfight drama with Caitlin Clark and also with Angel Reese. And it's just kind of one of those things. Do you think because it's two women that it's different than if two guys were going at it with any kind of, this right here or pointing at the ring? Was that overmodulated because of that?
I think this is nothing. I mean, it's great. Look, what's been I'll just tell you, frankly, my complaint about women's basketball for the longest time is that, you had too much of a talent disparity. And then the other thing was always silly was there's all these rules put on women's sports that they can't do. Something like, don't showboat, don't do those things. Do whatever you want. Make it fun. If they're having fun and nobody, did anybody get punched? No. Are parents going to have to maybe tell a kid hey, that's not really my style, you should not do that? Okay, then tell that to your kids because it's your job to do that as a parent. If you're freaking out about this because women shouldn't do this, you are a misogynist or whatever you want to call it. It's ridiculous. Let them have fun. I thought it was cool. Go ahead. Talk the noise you want to talk.
Craig?
I think all this is just kind of silly. It was a fine game. It wasn't a great game by any means. It was a fine game. The championship had some better games throughout the tournament before that. But congrats to Kim Mulkey and to the Tigers. She's one of the best to ever do it. I don't think anybody can debate that. I don't have some vendetta against her because she was in Waco at one point in time and now is at LSU. When she left, she apparently left on her own terms or apparently did not. And no one involved is willing to say exactly what happened, at least not yet. We kind of all think we have an idea of what sort of happened. You can kind of read into comments. But she, at least, has never gone on the record and stated what fully happened on her end of things as far as why she left Baylor. And I'm sure that at one point we'll get that after winning a title at LSU. I'm sure there will be another book coming at some point now because there's a new chapter to tell. And I'm sure she'll want to have her side of the story out there eventually, whatever that is. Mack Rhodes and Linda Livingstone have kind of just wished her well and defaulted to her on any other side of it. And, that part of the story for, I know, people around here is probably, until that's answered, is always going to be a thing of why did they force her out, or why did she leave, or why didn't they do more, or why didn't they do, whatever the case may be. So I know for people around here, that story yesterday is a little different than everybody else around the country watching because there's a different angle to it. So from my point of view, I look forward to seeing that one day, but I do know it was a tough pill to swallow or to watch for a lot of those same people who are now seeing her cut the nets with a different team. And no one are probably thinking like I am of is she going to do that more in Baton Rouge than she did in Waco? Because she already has one. She doesn't look like she's going anywhere for a while. Two don't seem like they're out of the question. Angel Reese is, a sophomore this year? She's got the #1 recruiting class. So I think that she could very well hit 3 in Baton Rouge as well, and that would be a huge accomplishment. But just to get the one that she did and get it within 2 years is a huge deal. So commend her for that. I'm not surprised by that at all. I don't think – I saw a lot of wow, it happened so quickly. And I'm in the transfer portal era and just what she does automatically, I don't think that was surprising at all, especially when you saw South Carolina gets beat. I thought they were going to cakewalk on Iowa. I know everybody, as soon as I saw this, all these articles on Saturday night or whenever it was of LSU has this, but they don't have Caitlin Clark. And there's all these, how is LSU going to stop Caitlin Clark? And I'm how the hell is Iowa going to stop LSU? What are we talking about? And sure enough, they get out there. And unfortunately, officiating took over the headlines right away because Reese was in trouble and Clark was in trouble. And, there was all these fouls being called. I think, first things first, whoever's in charge of the officiating for that game, next time, you need to sit, if you didn't already, sit everybody down before the game and get them to catch their breath so that they don't go out on the court and start acting like they are the ones that are in charge of the everything, this and that, as far as, let the girls play. and realize your role in this thing, because I think the referees came out way too overmodulated, like hyperventilating or just feeling like they had to make calls to be a part of the action to do their jobs right. And it's like, no one, I promise you, is here to see you. Absolutely nobody. So director of officiating for women's basketball and for every sport, ahead of the championship games, can you please just sit your people down and let them know, like, take a deep breath. This isn't about you. Stay out of the way. Do your jobs. But it's not about you. Get out of the way and let the girls or boys play. Like, let these teams go out there and fend it off. When Kaylin Clark is on the bench or Angel Reese is on the bench, like, luckily for LSU, they had others that stepped up, like Carson or Alexis Morris, and they did their thing. But you're here to watch the stars, too. So I thought that was a poor look for women's basketball, was to have that type of officiating, and probably what's going to be, like, what the most watched game ever, one of the most watch games ever. I thought they really shorted their fans in a way there, but that happens on the men's side too. So yeah, I mean, kudos to Mulkey. One day I'm sure we'll hear the rest of the story from her end, and I wish the officiating would have been a bit better. And I thought that, it was overall, to finish up here, I thought the women's season was fantastic. They had some great teams, and the Angel Reese and Kaylin Clark stuff, I mean, I can see both sides of it. Clark's taunted players before. Reese probably overdid it a little bit, following her around and kind of egging it on a little bit. But I didn't have a major problem with it, and I just hated that after the game was over with, that instead of talking about really anything, the two biggest topics were officiating and that. Yep. And that was it. Not the game was great, not the players were great, not the coaching was great, not the tournament was great. There was some of that, but it was mostly the Angel Reese, Caitlin Clark stuff, and whose side were you on, and who's trashier than who, and whoever, and then it was the officials, and I just thought that was a real shame for the game.
I think there was a lot made of this was the first time that the Final Four was going to be all women officials. I don't give a damn if it's men or women. Just get the right ones. Let them play. Let the players play. Sometimes the tournament, the way the game is played, that is not allowed to happen, but that was something that I think probably that overshadowed a lot of the game during the game, because here's the deal. Reese got 2, Morris got 2, Clark got 2, and then a third before the halftime. There was the technical foul. The big center for Iowa had 2 or 3 quickly, and it just takes away. You want to see the stars play. Now, if it was just obvious, then I get that. All right, Angel Reese, one note about her. She had 457,000 Instagram followers. I can't even fathom what that means. She now had, earlier today, over 800,000. And I believe that some of her NIL is connected to that. A lot of the athletes are. Yeah. And so that right there did boost her Instagram following. Whether or not, I think the only thing I saw about it was not that it was the fact that it was almost like following her around like you would see, ducks following each other around.
By the way, when you if you're a person who's against NIL, most of the NIL that's not in men's basketball or in football is people being able to make money off their social media. That's it. That's all it is. Hey, drink this no sugar soda pop. I'm a college athlete. Do it. That's all it is. That's it, just making a couple bucks. It's nothing recruiting Tyson's and all that. So I think that's great. Craig was a lot more calm about he had a more well-reasoned. I'm glad he said that. But I do think that, and I just think it's unfortunate. And look, I know that history kind of is written by the victors, and Kim winning this title, she's an excellent coach and all that. But I don't think she handled, the way out the door here very well. I don't think she, she took a shot, I thought, last night, thinly veiled at Baylor, when she was talking about Scott Woodward. I just don't think that that's necessary. I don't think it's necessary. And she left here because she didn't want to be here anymore, and that's fine. And there are reasons I could tell you that would be or not, but again, Craig said, I'm not Kim. I can't tell you. I can say what I know for almost a fact that it was, but until it comes from her, it's not necessarily all that true. So.
We've been down that road 2 years ago after the men won the national title. I'm not going down that. For those of you who are new viewers, it was messy, and there's a lot of different things that went down. But I do know I had a conversation with her the week that really got high drama, and had a conversation with her, and what I was told is not what was the narrative or why she left. And that's okay. It doesn't matter. She's gone. Good luck to her. Good luck to LSU. They might win 3 or 4 in a row with who they have coming back and also who they have coming in.
Well, in the transfer portal, and just the fact that, like I said, Reese has a couple more years left, and I just saw she's in the process of getting like a Barbie deal, like a Bayou Barbie, because that's her nickname. So like they're just getting started. I do think that's one area where, you know, it's just true. I don't try to BS people on here, but I was sitting there watching. I was like, this is Kim at her full potential, because the fan base is so large, the support is so big. There's no limitations really, like there was at Baylor. Does that make sense to you guys?
Yeah.
Like she's the backing that she has and the size of it all. And like, let's face it, for that Louisiana fan base, there's literally nothing she can do really. Like, any comments she made in the past at Baylor, like they would have, and she had people at Baylor that had her back, but they got drowned out so quickly by media or whatever. She's got a different kind of machine behind her now at LSU as far as support goes, and I think that's something that is definitely a benefit for her, that she's got like basically unwithering support no matter what she does. And they will have her back, and I think that people at Baylor did as well, but it's just a different kind of backing, just strength-wise that she has. And I think, you know, she's got, you know, they're in a different situation financially where, you know, a lot of what you were eating up here at Waco, it's SEC money over there, and they can do a lot more. And so I think she's, you know, surrounded herself with the people she grew up with and the place that she loves, and they've got a good thing rolling right now, and she got an AD she likes, and yeah, I think she's going to have a lot of success, but there absolutely will always be that little asterisk or note as far as the end of that Baylor career, and like I said, one day maybe she clears that up. There's some people that tell you she was fired. Some people that tell you it was her decision. There's some people that tell you this or that. Doesn't really matter. But she's a great coach, and, you know, that's always going to be probably a fresh wound for some people. And, you know, eventually we were going to see her win a title, you know, at LSU. Like, that was inevitable to me. Like, that was the one thing that was for sure going to happen, and I'm almost kind of glad it happened so quickly so that everybody who was going to be affected by it could kind of just get that out of the way. You know what I mean? Like, now she's won it. Now, okay, and now we move forward and see what happens with Nikki Collin, and see what happens with the Baylor program, and see what happens with Mulkey and LSU the rest of the way. But she's set up really well, no doubt. But there's still, clearly based on the AD shot she took in the post-game press conference, Baylor's not entirely off her mind. That's for damn sure.
All right, so we have that, the Masters Week.